Hello there, I am KCondo, and this is my first third episode review, and I am reviewing the third episode of the second season of Peacemaker. This is the middle of the season, so there will be spoilers. Before I begin, I forgot to mention in my last episode review, justice for Beaker looking guy. You were too simple for this world.
You got a good view there, Beaker?
Beaker? Who's...
He's a Muppet.
To begin, I really enjoyed the beginning twist, and while it wasn't done as well as the twist of Mern being a butterfly, but still made me look at the first season of the show completely differently. I am of course referring to how Rick Flag Jr. was secretly Hardcore's will they, won't they boyfriend, which finally explains why she refuses to go out with Chris. Genius. I couldn't think of a better way to do it. Except if they had some dramatic music or something. Not to be nitpicky, even though it's kind of my job, it kind of felt dumped on us out from nowhere, and we kind of had to deal with it. Though, of course, it wouldn't be a KCondo review of Peacemaker if I didn't say that the humor of Vigilante makes everything worth it. I really want to know how much he knows about spiders.
You want to quiz me on some spider facts?
No! But going back to Peacemaker, seeing him ride in the make your neighbors hate you cycle and wear clothes that made me want to rip them off for him because of how eye-hurting they were, was an experience. It highlighted how different this universe was to ours or Peacemaker's universe, and is a nice touch. I also appreciated the talk him and Hardcore had, which made Season 1 even more better because it showed that the Chris that was sitting down with Hardcore was a very, very different Chris than the one that was in the Suicide Squad. And it took me a bit, but the only flaw with the scene is definitely how similar it is to the relationship in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 when Star-Lord was trying to get together with Gamora from a different timeline. Hey, is it really plagiarism if you're copying yourself? Well, according to most teachers, probably yes, but it's a really well done story, so I think I'll let it slide. Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I can tell Gunn learned a lot from that movie, because he used the same technique of the going back and forth between happy scenes and sad scenes, just like in Guardians, where it would show Rocket and his animal friends, and then slide to Rocket dying. Or Peacemaker having a heartfelt and down-to-earth conversation. Explosion! The fight scene was awesome, by the way. Peacemaker doing scarier things with pencils in DC since Heath Ledger.
How about a magic trick?
And of course, seeing that suit his brother Captain Triumph had, which definitely proves that the DCU suits just keep getting cooler and cooler. In fact, this bomb scene made me as excited as the bomb scene in the Lego Batman movie. Now for a segment I would like to call Batman, Where Ya At? Where I ask the question, since Batman is now considered to have been in the DCU for years according to Creature Commandos, I have to ask, where he at? Now for the boring answer would be that Batman is not in the alternate universe Peacemaker is in. But for the more fun answer, what about the Batman in that universe? Now my premiere review questioned that maybe this is the Nolan-verse and Christian Bale's Batman might appear. But let's just say after Chris had that interaction with that kid and that very excited lady, there is no way this is the same grounded universe Nolan set up.
Why so serious?
Now, I must ask, where is that Batman, right? Why is it that it seems that Peacemaker's family is the only superheroes of the world? Well, looking at how scared that child who said he loved Peacemaker was, he didn't seem to be genuine about his love, as if he's being forced to say that. I think the city is actually being taken over by Peacemaker and his family, rather than being saved. So Batman and all the heroes are blocked from getting into the city in an alternate universe. Or maybe that's ludicrous. But until then, this was Batman, Where Ya At? To finish my actual review, can I just say, wait, was that Mary Poppins? There she is again!
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!
It was nice to see Michael Rooker in the show. His character Yondu was a fan favorite in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and still one of the few characters in the MCU who died and stayed dead. So far, it would be kinda cool if he somehow returned in Secret Wars. and even cooler getting to see his character fight eagerly in a future episode. Now, I felt the first 2 episodes set up what the show is going to be and what is it like switching to the DCU, and this episode wrapped up all loose ends from the first season. Like the conversation Peacemaker had with his brother, it was just so natural in a nice way. After years of trauma, Peacemaker finally is able to forgive himself for accidentally killing his brother. And the section where it showed the soldiers were coming was super cool, and though I honestly thought Rick Flag would follow them. And if you saw my last video, I thought G.I. Robot might go as well, but I can't wait to see what's next, which brings me to my theories. I won't show any leaked footage, but recently David Cornsweet made a post, not a leak, so I will show probably still, where he didn't write anything, but it still spoke volumes. It was a selfie of him in his Superman costume, standing alone. I mean, with John Cena. I couldn't see him at first. Who is also wearing his Kardashian-looking shirt.
Why do all my clothes look like the Kardashians' furniture, huh? Who are the Kardashians?
Now, of course, this could mean absolutely nothing. He didn't write anything, but that's the thing. If he had written, hanging out with my fellow superhero actor, I could let this go. And suppose this was a nice hangout, but he wrote nothing, as if on purpose. Also, the day before, Cornsweet had posted he was now working on the movie Man of Tomorrow, which, I won't lie, sounds like a name of a Captain America reboot. Did you know that song was written by Alan Menken, who wrote some of the most iconic musicals from Little Shop of Horrors to Aladdin? That's just so cool to me. Sorry, I lost the topic. Anyway, my third clue was that it had something to do with Superman, I think, is that James Gunn purposely took Superman out of theaters after 3 weeks so that people would get a chance to watch it again at home before Peacemaker Season 2 came out. Now, of course, the reason it seemed at first was to explain who Guy Gardner was and Hawkgirl were and why they were there, so no one was in the dark for that one interview scene with Peacemaker. But I think this post was the final nail in the coffin. I think after all of these clues, it is safe to say that Superman will show up. But why? Why would Superman be in a show about a guy visiting a different dimension? Now, Superman just dealt with a dimensional rift destroying the city, and I think if Argus told him about it, it would make sense for him to help destroy it. But I don't think it stops there. I think maybe Rick Flag Sr. might learn the same lesson Jim Gordon learned in Batman Begins. If you send powerful superheroes to attack, that'll encourage the villains to become even more powerful. Or as he says it,
we start carrying semi-automatics, they buy automatics. We start wearing Kevlar, they buy armor-piercing rounds. And you're wearing a mask.
So he would have Lex Luthor build weapons, and maybe even make the suit that's in the concept art from the Man of Tomorrow movie. If you remember, they specify in the movie that Lex is going to the same prison that the Creature Commandos and the Suicide Squad were based in, and Waller and Flag are notorious to having prisoners do one or two things for them while they are in jail. Or maybe that's too much like fanfiction. What did you guys think of the third episode of the second season of Peacemaker? And remember...
You stick classy.